The universe is so effed up, and here's why. I was out in Kabukicho with my friends, and then I made eye contact with this guy, and I was like, that guy looks really familiar. And it turns out it was the owner of my pottery studio from California that I used to go to before I left and went to Japan. I thought, what are the chances I would run into you on the streets of Shinjuku when I never even ran into you in California? It made me think about how fucked the universe is, that the universe is making me run into the people that I don't really need to run into, and not my husband. Like, get your shit there. But this reminds me of one of the weirdest run-ins I've ever had in my life. This whole story starts a while ago when I was in college. I was at a party at UCLA, and I was comparing my hand to this really big guy, and his hand was as big as my face, and I was just in awe. And I saw this Asian guy watching me from afar, and then he came up to me and dusted off my shoulder and said swag. And then he just walked away. I don't know, maybe he wanted me to chase him. I don't freaking know. But I just didn't, and I left the party at some point. After college, I was working in the Bay Area, and I was on a dating app and matched with this guy. The guy who came up to me at the party and dusted off my shoulder. But I don't think he remembered that. We were texting for a while until he eventually asked me to hang out. When we matched, I was living in San Jose, and then when we hung out, I had moved to San Francisco. So we hung out, and then I found out that he was my ex-boyfriend's ex-girlfriend's ex-boyfriend. And I thought, wow, this is dramatic. We hung out like one or two more times, but he was breadcrumbing me. He was just leading me on. So I stopped responding to him, and he ended up sending me a 5-paragraph text message telling me I was insecure with trust issues while I was at an A$AP Rocky concert. So we stopped talking. The next year, I was in Nob Hill where he lived, and I remembered he had a book that my grandma gave me, and I texted him, I want my book back. He didn't give me my book back, but he asked, do you want to go to the Mission to watch me get a tattoo? And I was like, okay, because I had nothing better to do. So we met up, I watched him get his tattoo, which is boring as fuck. And then we went to a Belgian restaurant. I updated him about my dating life and how I was seeing this guy who was treating me really horribly. He told me, you need to work on yourself and build yourself up to be a better person so you can match with someone at that level. So take a break from dating and guys and focus on yourself. And I said, thanks, that's good advice. And then the restaurant closed, and then I invited him to my apartment to watch a movie because I wanted to watch Entourage the movie. Believe me, I had no intention of hooking up with him, but as soon as he got to my apartment, he tried to hook up with me. And I was really confused because I thought, you literally just told me to focus myself, stop dating guys. Why are you trying to get in my pants? His only response was, oh, I'm horny. And I think that's an excuse a lot of guys do to justify a lot of bad things they do. He ended up leaving, and I was just like, what the heck just happened? The next day I was at therapy telling my therapist about what this guy did, and he texted me saying, sorry, I shouldn't have let that happen. Let that happen? He was the one who instigated it. So I never talked to him again. Until 7 years later, I go to London and I get on the tube. I sit down and I feel someone's eyes on me. So I look over, and who do I see? This guy from San Francisco. I was so shocked, I just laughed and avoided eye contact. But then, because I thought it would be funny and a good story, I messaged him, and turns out he moved to London for work, so we arranged to hang out. We hung out 2 weeks later on my return trip to London, and he ended up being the same that he always was. We ended up going to his apartment and FaceTime my mom, and we didn't hook up, but at the end of the night he kicked me out of his apartment, and I was really drunk, so drunk that I couldn't even figure out how to get to the exit. I was even waiting for the bus, blacked out, which was a horrible idea. I ended up taking a taxi home, got my flight back to the US. He texted me, hey, did you get back to your apartment okay? I'm like, yeah. End of that. We never talked again. So the universe really pissed me off that time, because what was the freaking point of making me run into that guy again? Why? Just make me run into my soulmate already. Stop with these unnecessary run-ins.